If a poor workman blames his tools, a great one considers them gold. That's why in Jim Morgan's shop, each saw has its spot, every screw is in place.
The artistic and the engineering and the craftsmanship, they all have to meld together with a lot of imagination, I guess you'd call it.
For nearly his entire adult life, Jim has spent his time helping others keep track of theirs. Most of his handmade clocks are given as gifts.
I cut this thumb off.
Even if they have come at a loss.
You can tell the difference. That's my toe they put on there.
A thumb is a small price to pay for a lifetime of fulfillment.
And the clocks that I have built have become a part of me.
Don't ask him to sing, that's not going to happen. But woodworking has been his God-given gift.
Still, Jim's wife Kathy knew her husband would one day consider hanging up the tools for good. She just didn't know how soon that time would come.
I recall it all. It's, you know, I can't pass the intersection without reliving the accident.
An accident 6 years ago.
In a crosswalk, and I got hit by a car going about 40 or 50 miles an hour. I had punctured ribs. I had broken collarbones. I had a lot of broken, scraped, and busted up areas, but nothing that they couldn't repair. The only thing they couldn't fix was the eyes.
Blind but happy to be alive, Jim considered his clockmaking days done.
True enough.
Or so he thought.
For a while.
Turns out what you lack in sight can be made up for with pure will.
You can do more than you think you can, but you've got to apply yourself.
To be fair, Jim had been so skilled at making clocks before the accident, he probably could have done so with his eyes closed then. After some practice, he now continues both day and night.
It's really eerie, like if I would wake up in the middle of the night and I realize he's not in bed, I'll go hunting for him. And to open that door in the middle of the night to complete darkness and know that he's in there running saws, it's an eerie feeling.
66 clocks later, what's strange to Kathy is just normal for Jim.
Each thing that Jim does gives him a little more confidence.
This one is African mahogany.
Gives us all more joy. And I have high hopes for, I don't think that there's anything that he can't do.
Why do you think you did live?
Well, I think I had a purpose.
A purpose to show you don't need sight to see, far beyond the limits of life. In Fort Myers, Sean Martinelli, NBC2. On the road of life, few have had a bumpier path than James Fox. Born without arms or legs, each day is difficult, so you can imagine the feeling.
For the most part, I was out of sight.
4 years ago, when James found himself living on the streets.
I was going through severe anxiety and depression. It was a very low point in my life.
James might as well have been invisible, as he would ride his skateboard down Veterans Parkway in Cape Coral toward his mom's house to shower. Tens of thousands of cars would pass him. None ever stopped, except one.
He saw me on the side of the road, and he just stopped in the middle of traffic and asked me if I needed a ride. I told him thank you, but no thank you. I didn't want to make his SUV dirty. He said, screw the car, get in.
Dan Creighton was the driver of that car and is a well-off business owner. He expected to give James more than a ride that day.
He goes, dude, I'm good. So many people always reach out and asking and wanting that, again, have arms and arm legs, and here's this guy that has nothing, and he's good. Blew my mind, still blows my mind today thinking back.
He gave me some money and he handed me his business card and he asked me to call him if I ever needed anything.
Dan fully expected to get a call but never did. So he started searching. He went to bus stops, even asked people about James during business meetings. Then 2 years later, along Summerlin Road in Fort Myers.
I was waiting at the bus stop and he pulled up in front of the traffic.
Where in the hell have you been?
I've been looking for you for years.
He goes, what do you mean you've been looking for me? I'm gonna get in the car.
They took a ride to Dan's office.
It's really indescribable.
And I have my assistant write a $10,000 check.
But what do you say to that? You know what I mean?
And that was just the start.
That was the beginning.
The two stayed in touch, and earlier this year, Dan had another gift. gift.
I decided I'm going to buy him a home.
This was the moment after James realized he would never be homeless again.
I'm just really grateful.
You made a big difference in his life, but
Wow.
he's made just as much a difference in yours.
I can never repay him for what he's given me.
James moved into his new place last month, which is across the street from the job he now works. Neither would be possible without the gift of a stranger who stopped.
Life really is beautiful, and I can't say that I've always believed that.
Sometimes you just need someone who gives you a reason. In Fort Myers, Sean Martinelli, NBC2. Each time we hit the open road, photojournalist Todd Offenbeck and I believe everyone has a story to share. Today, we wanted to put that belief to the test.
You've never been to Muse before?
I don't know anything about Muse.
We're heading to Muse. Up until last year, it had been a community so overlooked, even federal maps had it misspelled.
It does look like a nice day, at least, for this.
Every day's a nice day at Muse. Or Muse. Or Muse.
Here there are no stores, no post offices, no restaurants, just open road, and maybe more cows than people. In search of the first human that would let us tell their story,
So much for lunch.
we thought we might have laid a goose egg.
Hi, how are you?
As fate would have it, we ended up finding a goose with a man instead.
How would you describe Muse to someone who's never been here before?
Heaven.
That's coming from a guy who's lived around the country,
I can't take the cold.
in cities big and small. 20 years ago, Fran Cobert sold his Naples business and moved here for a slower pace, a place where chickens are a must and shoes are optional.
Politics, city government, county government. You're looking at the luckiest guy in the world.
But a lucky life isn't a perfect life. Frank's had his misfortunes, like when his wife Lynn, of 54 years, got sick.
It was ulcerative colitis.
Ulcerative colitis. She was a very sick puppy. She was down to skin and bones. She couldn't do nothing. Things like that happen, and you got to deal with it. And we know the power of prayer.
Prayers aren't always answered the way we hope. Fortunately, his were. Lynn is now healthier than ever. Fran swears a diet high in blueberries grown on the farm here saved her life. That's why the street the couple lives on has been given the appropriate name of Blueberry Lane.
Every morning when I'm out with them chickens, you're out there by yourself, and you look at everything around you and appreciate everything you got. If you can't appreciate what you got, you're missing the whole boat.
How's that for a story picked in the middle of nowhere? Our journey now continues. In Muse, M-U-S-E, Sean Martinelli, NBC2.
You can just scan the barcode.
At the Lee County Courthouse,
2 easy steps and we get you all day.
democracy rises early,
Just like checking the price at Walmart.
7:30 kind of early.
Am I excited about it? Honestly, no.
Uh-oh, you were too fast for my computer.
Personally, I'd rather be at the beach today, but you know what? You have a civic duty, I guess.
Come on in, let's get you checked in.
There's not a whole lot to do.
Not really, but I really don't do much anyways.
Once the trial begins,
Each of us is given a constitutional guarantee of a fair and impartial jury, though many start like this, sleepy and so very unhappy to be here.
This place kind of gets a bad reputation sometimes.
We do have a bad rap. So if anything I've said to you so far has been quite boring, you're not going to be any more thrilled with this.
That's why clerks Shirley Jackson, Dory Stieg, and Eileen Nast have dutifully made the responsibility of jury duty,
Does anybody have any questions?
dare I say, fun.
Other than can I go home? We don't want to be known as those jury trolls that you come in and then you're chained to your seat and we don't ever let you leave.
You're happy working here.
very. Best job I've ever had.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
If that doesn't work for you,
Their philosophy is simple.
give a quick jog up to Charlotte County.
If the clerks are having fun, maybe others here will as well.
If I'm warm and funny with you, you're generally going to feel that, and you're going to reflect that back at me. So in the end, it really kind of pays off.
So much so that some jurors have gone so far as volunteered to come back, which, while not allowed, is a victory.
During the holidays, we put out candy.
Because between home improvement shows and endless waiting, we can sometimes forget the privilege it is to have this opportunity.
I'm hoping that I can change other people's perception of it.
We live in a great country. We lose sight of it sometimes.
I can't imagine living in any other country where the jury system is not the same as we have it. We are very privileged. Number 1.
And it's in that commitment to the very core of justice that makes each of these ladies guilty
It takes a village to raise a jury.
of exceptional public service.
Another group of our children are gone.
In Fort Myers, Sean Martinelli,
Bye.
NBC2. It's come down to this. Toilet paper Jenga, and boy, this is no fun. Like most of you, I've spent a lot of time at home, and with each day, I'm growing more and more insane. I've watched so much cable news that I'm starting to recite Anderson Cooper commercials in my sleep.
Holding the powerful accountable, keeping them honest.
And I've rewatched so many classic games featuring my beloved Syracuse Orange. Yes, I know how they end. My blood pressure still spikes to unhealthy levels. But all this time alone got me thinking, maybe this period of isolation could turn into an opportunity for reconnection.
Oh, this is such a fun idea. I'm glad we're doing this.
Shelby is an old family friend who I haven't seen in 8 years.
Okay, so I grabbed something to see if you would remember it. You ready?
Wizard! We used to play that card game together a lot.
The memory I have of you specifically involves kickball. You were not the greatest athlete.
You don't have to remind me.
That's Dr. Bill Moss, one of my old teachers from middle school.
The class was very competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were very unforgiving. And you went out there day after day, and you literally worked at it until you were, by the 8th grade, you were a very good kickball player.
Still got picked last, but let's move on.
I remember your smile, and I remember how encouraging you were.
Pat Hunt was my supervisor when I worked at my college library.
I'm just so proud of you. I'm just so proud of you.
Then there are those who I see more often, but not often enough.
Okay, Sean.
Hi, Grandma and Grandpa.
Hi.
I can't see you.
There it is.
Oh.
You got it now?
Got it. Grandma, I can't find anybody down here who makes mashed potatoes as good as you.
If you're bored at home with nothing to do.
It was great to see you.
Okay. All right. Bye, Shelby.
It only takes a few minutes to reach out to an old friend.
Well, thanks for being a great teacher, and thanks for always believing in me, Dr. Moss.
And never underestimate the power of hello.
It's a scary time, but we'll get through it. All right.
Thank you for thinking of me, Sean.
Thanks.
Because as much as any virus, that feeling of connection can be just as contagious.
Love you.
Love you too.
In Fort Myers, Sean Martinelli.
Love you guys.
NBC2.